again, students. Here we are looking at a second short story. We're still talking about comparing and contrasting text and the effect of the two different structures and how it affects meaning. We're also looking at textual evidence. We're going to look at theme really closely today, as well as our story, The Monkey's Paw, lends itself to that standard very well. So in just a minute, you're going to read the story, and I have a vocabulary aid to help you because the story is has some pretty tough vocab words in it. So let me share my screen with you, and if I can find the vocabulary link. You're going to find this link on the website that you are working from. Maybe I can find it. So you should be able to find this file on the website, and I have it broken down into the three parts of the story. Some of the words you may know, some of them you might not. So if you read the story with this guide beside you, it will help you a lot. So we're going to take a look also at the story itself. So if you want to, in just a minute, click on the story, go ahead, find the link, and you can have the video and the story side by side if you want. Otherwise, you can print the story if you want. And what we're going to look at when we first start reading this story is hopefully some similarities to the Edgar Allan Poe story that we read. While you're reading, you might make some notes, some annotations on how this story compares to The Telltale Heart. Also, we're going to look at how is foreshadowing used in this story. Foreshadowing is a big component of the story, and it is used to build suspense. So we want to look at what is the effect of the suspense in the story. And finally, the last thing we want to look at is this. Most critics agree that this is a work of supernatural fiction. And you can think about whether or not you agree with that. And that's going to, I think, lead us to our theme that hopefully you're going to discover in just a few minutes. But I'll start by reading the story, and then you can pause this video and read the rest of the story and annotate and read with the vocabulary guide. And then we'll pick back up in just a few minutes. The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs. Without, the night was cold and wet, but in the small parlor of Laburnum Villa, the blinds were drawn and the fire burned brightly. Father and son were at chess, the former, who possessed ideas about the game involving radical changes, putting his king into such sharp and unnecessary perils that it even provoked comment from the white-haired old lady knitting placidly by the fire. So let's stop right here. What does the word former in this case mean? The former, who possessed ideas about the game. So that's referring to the father. So the father and the son open the story by playing chess. Seems to be somewhat of a cozy environment. But notice the words sharp, peril, provoked. What kind of effect do those words create in a story? peril. What's that word mean? Danger, sharp. Is W.W. Jacobs pointing to, right from the beginning, creating a setting that sets up foreshadowing of danger? I don't know. Let's look at the second paragraph. Hark at the wind, said Mr. White, who, having seen a fatal mistake after it was too late, was amiably desirous of preventing his son from seeing it. Fatal mistake. Normally we think of that as a life and death situation. After it was too late. So here we see some foreshadowing in the description right from the beginning of the story. So what I want you to do is pause the video. You're going to read the story. Look very carefully at the choice of language. You know, just like you wrote your essay over the Telltale Heart, you deliberately chose your words. They didn't just accidentally fall out of your brain onto the paper. You deliberately chose them. Writers, published writers, they do the same thing. They deliberately choose their words. And it's our job to figure out why they chose those words. So go ahead, pause the video, and we'll come back together in just a few minutes. All right, so I hope that you have enjoyed that story. It's a rather depressing story, I must say. The outcome we know is that Herbert is killed at his work, and the company gives his parents the same amount of money that they had just wished for when they were making their 3 wishes on the monkey's paw. And remember, who was joking? You know, Herbert says, I bet I will never see the money. Well, he's right. He never did see it, did he? Again, we have some irony there, situational irony, in that it's Herbert's death that brings the money to his parents. And so that brings us to our idea of theme, fate versus free will. Here we have Jacobs presenting the idea. Was it fate that caused Herbert's death? Was it just an accident? Or was his death caused by the free will of his parents wishing for a certain amount of money? You know, they said they didn't need anything. They said they had everything that they needed, but yet they wished for money, not to become millionaires, but simply to pay off their house. And so Jacobs introduces the idea of, is our life, or are our lives controlled by fate, or do we actually control our life? I don't know. I don't have the answers. We're going to see this theme in a lot of works. For example, Romeo and Juliet has the same idea presented. Were Romeo and Juliet fated to die? Or was it the actions of certain characters, free choice, that caused their deaths? So what we're going to do now is we're going to watch the video. The video is in 2 different parts, I think, and so you'll find the links to all the parts of the video on the website. So I want you to watch those, and then I want you to draw a Venn diagram comparing and contrasting the two. And I want us to think about, in the same way we did the Telltale Heart, I want us to think about what are the similarities and differences and the effects of those similarities and differences between the print and the video. After we do this, then we're going to have a little assessment. We're going to take a quiz. It's going to be a story that you're going to read and answer some questions, a story that you haven't read before. It's going to be what we call a cold read. And we're just checking to see your comprehension. We're checking to see, you know, are you mastering these standards that we're looking at? So, you know, you can spend some time reviewing these 2 lessons if you want to before the quiz. but we'll have the quiz pushed out on Google Classroom. So go ahead and watch the videos and think about the story and the video and make yourself some notes. Okay? All right. See you tomorrow.